Well, just a couple of days after the blockbuster Giannis trade where the Bucks sent him to the Miami Heat and got a big haul back, we've got another blockbuster trade this morning. And here is this from Shams Charania regarding the trade of LaMelo Ball going to the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Hornets getting themselves a haul back. And the details on that, again, is that the Hornets are getting Naz Reid, who was the sixth man of the year in 2024. They're getting a first-round pick in 2033, 3 first-round pick swaps, and 3 second-round picks. So take all that in. We're going to break it down. Don't you worry. But the big get for the Minnesota Timberwolves, days now, they've traded Julius Randle to the Brooklyn Nets, and they have traded their former sixth man off the year and their best player off the bench, Naz Reid, to the Charlotte Hornets. Remember, Dante DiVincenzo out for this entire season with a ruptured Achilles, but the Minnesota Timberwolves are now basically betting the Anthony Edwards future on LaMelo Ball being able to be that 1B or that 2A or the Robin to Anthony Edwards Batman. And Brad, I don't know about you, but I think this is going to be a disaster for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think they are going to regret this. And I think Charlotte is going to be better off in the future without LaMelo Ball. He is a losing basketball player. He's a losing basketball player. And I think the Charlotte Hornets in 3 years from now, they're going to be looking like geniuses that they made this trade. And the Minnesota Timberwolves, I got to be honest, Brad, they're no closer to a championship than they were 2 months ago. They're probably further away. And when this fails and crumbles in the span of 3 years, and in 3 years, I think that's probably when Anthony Edwards says, all right, I'm out. I want to trade. Get me somewhere else. Then this will officially come full circle, and the Minnesota Timberwolves will be left with LaMelo Ball, and they will be a lottery team, just like the Charlotte Hornets were for the last 4 years with LaMelo Ball until they finally got some good pieces around him. But I think the Charlotte Hornets, this is a gamble for sure, but I think it's a smart one. It's a wise one. And I think Minnesota, desperate that they didn't get Giannis, this was their plan B, and I think it's a horrible plan B, Brad.
Oh, look, it's a very strong take, and you know what? I entirely subscribe to it. I think you're exactly right. This could be a kind of an oil and water situation with Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball. They're going to be able to jive together. All they're going to be able to work together. That is the $64,000 question. And I think the biggest and most glaring weakness right now, Minnesota on paper, the front court, man. You got Rudy Gobert there, but right now, I guess Jaden McDaniels is penciled in or maybe even penned in as your number 4. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. They're going to be playing some small ball with LaMelo and AE in that backcourt, and I guess Ayo Dosunmu, who they backed up the truck for a 5-year, $112 million deal, will be playing more of the small forward position, which he can do. But it would probably been best if he was more the 2 guard, the occasional point in this backcourt alongside Anthony Edwards. So it's a bit puzzling because Rudy Gobert is not nearly as strong of a player as he used to be. I think he's still a force in the interior defensively, but he is not exactly dominant. I think he is a lost a step offensively, and they just don't have a lot of depth in that front court. So if the fouls were to mount with Rudy Gobert earlier in a game, what are they going to do? They got to essentially go to 4 guards and, a power forward or a small forward. I mean, that's entirely on the table for Minnesota. Look, I know they're really talented, and you look at some of the advanced data. Look at the NBA WAR that ESPN tracks. LaMelo Ball last season was number 34 in that category. Nothing to scoff at. But is he really an enormous upgrade? Is he really going to get them over the top in a highly competitive an extremely deep Western Conference? I think it's far-fetched. Their odds slice down at BetMGM today to 22-1 then win the NBA title. I believe that's a 5th or 6th highest right now among all the teams available at BetMGM. I think that is a snowball's chance, and you know what, of actually occurring. And I think you again hit the nail right on the head. The big winner in this deal today were the Charlotte Hornets. the Hornets, were on the precipice of really taking a quantum leap in their overall production. The advanced data backs it up. They were top 5 in offensive efficiency, and they were number 11 in defense efficiency in the regular season this past year. They're outstanding. They showed sharp and significant improvement really across the board. And now with Kobe White penciled in right now as the starting point guard, and they also did a bang-up job, Pat, in the NBA draft. Those 2 first-round picks, Heinz Steinbach, I'm a big fan of, out of the University of Washington. A big body guy, gets you some rebounds, can step out, hit some threes on occasion. He's got a versatile skill set given his size, a plus big there in the interior. And then Christian Anderson, I think, is really the key cog and really precipitated the reason why Charlotte can make this deal, because Christian Anderson took that quantum leap in overall production, running a very good Texas Tech offense under Grant McCausland last season in Lubbock. He averaged over 7 assists per game, and he was one of the best sharpshooters in all of college basketball. And right now, he's coming off the bench, and eventually, if Kobe White, sloughs in any way, shape, or form, Christian Anderson could be your starting point guard. He is that good. And he is going to splishy. He's going to splash as a rotational player. He got all the draft picks involved as well. I think it's an A+++++ to go. A Christmas story on that ass for the Charlotte Hornets, and probably like D, maybe borderline F when it comes to Minnesota Timberwolves, thinking they got the missing piece, the missing link to make them the best team in the West, and that ain't going to happen.
310-840-4910. We want to hear from you. You can call, you can text. What do you think? Who won the trade? Who's better off after LaMelo Ball gets dealt to the Minnesota Timberwolves to team up with Anthony Edwards, and the Hornets get back Naz Reid and a bunch of picks. Now, a bunch of picks that aren't in the near future here, and that's the important thing to note, that this is, again, more of a long-term gamble by Charlotte. And so I think, Brad, it's important. There's a lot of people, and I put out a video, and I've got reactions ranging from both ends of the spectrum. People saying, yes, preach, couldn't agree more. I got people saying you're an idiot, you're a jackass, you don't know ball, which is ironic, you don't know ball, you don't know LaMelo Ball, which is ironic, and anywhere in between. But a lot of people said, well, why? Why did this trade happen? And I think it's very easy to see from Minnesota's standpoint. And again, I can see the logic from Tim Connolly, who I thought did a decent job of really reshaping this roster and building it around Anthony Edwards. And you know what? They made the Western Conference Finals back-to-back seasons. They had a chance to get back there this year after they beat the Denver Nuggets, and injuries played a part. The fact that Anthony Edwards wasn't 100%, the DiVincenzo injury, they ran into a Spurs team that was just flat out better than them. If Ant-Man was 100%, if Devo doesn't get hurt, that series probably goes 7. Hell, maybe Minnesota wins it. Like, I'm not discrediting what Tim Connolly has done the last couple of years and how close Minnesota has been. But, Brad, there comes that time where you go to make that shot. You take that shot. You take that risk of trying to raise your ceiling. And I can see on paper how they could raise their ceiling. Again, I just think LaMelo Ball is a losing player. That's what it comes down to for me. So for Minnesota, Mike Conley, who is the ageless wonder, look, Mike Conley's not going to get it done anymore. You need somebody that can not only handle the ball and take the pressure off Ant-Man's shoulders, and can also score, but obviously can facilitate this offense. And that's what LaMelo Ball does, right? When he's at his best, he's pretty freaking damn good. He's an all-star caliber player. He can average 10 assists per game. He can light it up when he can score 25, 30 occasionally. And I can see, again, why Minnesota did it. They need a point guard to run the offense. They need a younger point guard that can score, that can give lobs to Rudy Gobert, that can feed Ant-Man. He doesn't have to do it all like he had to do in that series against San Antonio. But here's the thing. Rarely does this game get played out on paper, Brad, and that's where I think all of LaMelo Ball's inconsistencies, his weakness, he doesn't play a lick of defense. He's lackadaisical. He turns the ball over too much. And the biggest thing for me, he's rarely healthy. He had played in basically half the amount of available games in the last 3 years going into this season. Then he played over 70, and he was great. It was the best season of his career, in my opinion. I know he was Rookie of the Year a couple years ago. I think this was the best season of his career. And Charlotte capitalized on it. They said to themselves, Well, the guy finally was able to stay healthy. Is that going to continue to happen in the future? You could say that Charlotte is thinking probably not. Did we just get the best season of his career? Maybe. Maybe. Is this a guy that is going to hurt us more than he's going to help us long term? I think yes. Charlotte thinks yes. That's why he got traded. Minnesota is gambling on all the upside, all the best parts of LaMelo Ball. But there are too many downsides for me to now look at this roster, take out Randall, take out Naz Reid. It's now LaMelo. Like you said, this is an undersized team now. They've got to do some other work here in free agency because behind Rudy Gobert, it's Joan Berenger, who is still a project and hasn't shown anything, and a two-way player that they just drafted. They don't have a lot of size, and that was what Minnesota was built on. Their rebounding, their toughness, their physicality. That's how they got to those Western Conference Finals.
Yep.
Now you basically strip that away, and I think what's left is all the magical upside of what LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards could be. But yet, for me, there is too much downside for Minnesota to take this big of a gamble. And again, future picks and one player, it might not seem like Charlotte got that big of a return on paper. But Brad, if I'm right, and if you're right, and if we're right, those pick swaps, if Minnesota finds themselves in the lottery in 3-4 years from now, if this thing blows up, the Charlotte Hornets are going to be basically like the Oklahoma City Thunder, where they have now accumulated picks, and they're a playoff team, and they're picking in the top 10 year after year. And that is what I think is going to happen.
You read my mind. I was going to make that comp to OKC. And, it's a proven and winning formula. Again, the rich kid continuously get richer with all the draft capital that the Thunder had. Again, I still cannot believe they got a Dye Mar where they did at number 12 overall. That was asinine to get him in that extreme value to add front court depth in case, the mozzarella stick, again, melts in the spotlight, that being no threat Chet Holmgren. So, yeah, just follow the same formula. Follow the same strategy, and you could have a string of very successful seasons. I love what the Charlotte Hornets have built. They are squarely on the map. What is crazy right now in the sports betting market is the books haven't really caught up with potentially how good this Hornets team could be. For example, our proud sponsor, BetMGM, I have it right in front of me. I'm pulling up the Eastern Conference champion odds for next season. Of course, the Celtics and Knicks are 1 and 2 on that list, followed by the Heat. Oh, Giannis, so buzzy. The Pistons and Cunningham, obviously they're high on that list as well. The Hornets are way down at 10, number 10 highest in terms of Eastern Conference champions. They're 25-1, Pat, to win the East. And, frankly, I think they're very much in the conversation. Miller's awesome. Concanipple is awesome. And again, with White, and as I mentioned before, and I will double, triple, and quadruple down on it, Christian Anderson may be one of the biggest steals of this year's draft, and it's going to pay off a high and instant dividend for this Hornets club. And a big reason why I think this team is, viably in the conversation to win the East. And I'm saying that stone sober.
Yeah, 310-840-4910. Here's the thing. This is where the one part I'll disagree with you. And at the expense of maybe sounding like I'm hedging my opinion here, I'm not. I do think, and again, 2-3 years, the Hornets will be a perennial 45 to 48 win team and like a 4 or 5 seed in the East. Again, they're going to have to make other moves now to build the roster that they already have. Like, this is not a roster that, to me, that is set and ready to win. Like, they traded away LaMelo Ball, and all of a sudden now they're going to be even better than they were last year. But now the moves that they can make because of that, the player exceptions that have opened up, the salary cap space that has opened up, because LaMelo Ball now is extension eligible, and he can sign that extension this summer with Minnesota. If it doesn't happen this summer, it's going to happen next summer. He's going to be getting paid over $50 million a year to be the Robin to Anthony Edwards Batman. But in the long term now, Naz Reid, who, like we said, is one of the best six men, won the sixth man of the year 2 years ago. You got him coming off the bench, or you can insert him right into the starting lineup, which I have a feeling will probably happen. And he is an excellent rebounder. He is a tremendous three-point shooter. He is a very solid defender. And so you add a little bit of versatility and a little bit of all-around game. And yes, Are the Hornets immediately now? Have they gotten worse offensively? Yes, they have. There's no, as much as I've been critical of LaMelo Ball, there's no denying that. They are worse off offensively in the immediate aftermath. They're better defensively. I think they'll have a higher IQ as a team. I think they will be more fundamentally sound. And I think they'll just be more of a winning basketball team. Because I just think whatever LaMelo Ball brings, all the greatness, and I've detailed it before, again, he doesn't play defense. And here's the thing, like for me, that play-in game against Orlando where their season ended, LaMelo Ball scores 23 points. And you look at and I had people literally show me the box score on Twitter after I said, if you just watch the box score, you would think he played okay. And they're like, look, he was -9. Everybody else is like -30 in that game. 23 points. You didn't even watch the game. Brad, he had 2 points in the half. He had 2 points in the first half. He had several turnovers. He was god-awful. Now, the entire team was terrible, don't get me wrong. But LaMelo Ball, with the season, with the playoffs on the line, first chance at a playoff appearance in nearly a decade, right there in front of you, and your best player scores 2 points in the first half, and then stat pads when you're down by 30 to make it look like he had a decent game. That's the player that LaMelo Ball is. And you got the best season from him this past year. He had a great regular season. That was the best year of his career. Are you going to get that along with improved defense, improved maturity? Are you going to get all of that? I don't think so. I don't think you're going to. And so now Charlotte, as worse off as they'll be in the immediate aftermath, again, you mentioned Kobe White. He slots in to be your starting point guard. He's a solid option. He's a guy that's basically averaged 18 to 19 points per game for the last couple of years to go with 5 rebounds and 5 assists. He did it on a bad Bulls team. When the Charlotte Hornets brought him over, he was a solid player off the bench. He was huge in that first play-in game for them coming off the bench when Con Knippel couldn't hit a shot. But for me, the Charlotte Hornets, and Brad, you know it, I was a big fan of what they were building. And for a lot of people, okay, I just explained why Minnesota made the trade. For a lot of people saying, well, you just saw this Hornets team take a big step forward. You know, Combs said in our group chat, Pat, weren't you like all over the Hornets? Didn't you love the Hornets? I did. Because they were, on paper, the best offensive rated team in the NBA once they went on that massive run. When they started the season off time, what were they, like 12-28 or whatever, or 12-20? And then they were literally one of the best teams in the NBA through the rest of the regular season. And all for that, they couldn't even make it out of the play-in tournament. So their president, Jeff Peterson, said, we're not going to overvalue our success. They had as good of a year as possible. They didn't even make it out of the play-in tournament. Now, you could say, well, they're just building. Now you give this core more time. Knippel, who broke the rookie three-point record. Brandon Miller, who's a walking bucket. You give LaMelo Ball the keys to this offense, and you're going to keep getting it. Well, I think just as easily, LaMelo Ball might never play 70 games again in a regular season because he's proven he can't stay healthy. This is the first year he was. And LaMelo Ball, all the offensive upside, he was constantly killing them on defense. And in some of the biggest games, he couldn't be found. I think he's Trae Young light, honestly. I think he is Trae Young Jr., where a lot of people thought Trae Young was going to be one of the best point guards in the league, and he'll average the 20 points and 10 assists, and he can hit for 30, and he can shoot, and he can hit 6 threes, and he can make it look effortless and easy. But when you need him to be consistent and be a winning player, Trae Young has proven. He's literally proven, because I was making the same arguments about Trae Young a couple of years ago. People tell you you're crazy. Oh, Trae Young is awesome. Oh, you're just a Knicks fan that is salty about them getting knocked out. Look at where Trae Young is in now. He just signed a Supermax extension to basically wither away in Washington, D.C. And I think LaMelo Ball is basically going to follow in Trae Young's footsteps. So again, I think the Hornets are going to be better off for this. Kobe White, is he the long-term answer? Maybe not. Is the draft pick that you were talking about, Christian Anderson from Texas Tech, does he eventually become their starting point guard? Maybe he does. They might have to find a different answer. But I know who was not the long-term answer. It was not LaMelo Ball. And the Hornets are going to be better off for it. And the Timberwolves are going to learn it the hard way. He's a losing player.
I'm going to make 2 quick points because we got to get to break. So, number one, I think the combination of White and Anderson, as you just laid out, I don't think it's going to be a massive difference and a huge step down from LaMelo Ball. And the second point, going back to Minnesota, the breakout player on that roster, and I'm not saying this, and maybe I am because I went to the ILL now, but sliding into finally more minutes. Deservedly so. He has certainly flashed in a multitude of playoff games. Now that Naz Reid is out of the picture, the true sixth man for Minnesota. And man, that's going to be in the conversation for sixth man of the year next year in the NBA, Terrence Shannon. I'm done.